Hi, this is Gene from Listening In Radio, and today we're going to be unboxing the BAIJIALI KK9, and I just received this in the mail today. It is a 9-band radio with AM, FM, shortwave, and apparently TV sound. I'm not sure how that translates in the United States. Maybe they still transmit TV audio by analog in Europe or in Asia. I am not sure about that, but we don't do that anymore. But we'll get into that as we go on. But this radio was obviously manufactured in China, and it appears to be distributed from various countries, as you can see by the different flags, including looks like Germany, Italy, and France as well. So very interesting the distribution, and we'll be unboxing this and taking a look at it shortly.
Disaster. Catastrophic events will soon take place that will bring this age to a close and usher in the next. In his que es lo que ha salido bastante en las investigaciones, está saliendo bastante en los reportes. Se tratará exactamente de que proliferan las redes sociales, de que...
Okay, so as you can see from the previous videos that I did, I took the KK9 here and I really put it through its motions before I talked any more about it, because I wanted to see what the radio was about. The first thing I want to mention about the KK9 is it is an $11 radio, and it's a pocket radio, and you can kind of see by the size of it and the scale of it. It's only about 3 by 4 inches and about 3/4 of an inch deep. It has a standard telescopic whip antenna that only goes up one way. It doesn't rotate. So, and it's a very basic radio. As soon as I took it out of the box, believe it or not, I dropped it on the floor. And I have rubber mats on the floor, so it didn't hit a hard floor, but I will tell you that it did survive. That was a very good sign. But the one thing I noticed kind of after I dropped it and I picked it up to see what was going on, this battery compartment, and it only takes 2 AA batteries for the power supply, which is good, but the battery compartment cover is kind of loose. It was loose to begin with, so I put a piece of Scotch tape on here. But for an $11 radio, that was to be expected. As you can see here, it has 2 1.5 volts, and that's all you need for this radio, which is a very good power supply. You're not wasting a lot of money on batteries. But for $11, my expectations were not that high as far as sound quality went and tunability. And I was kind of surprised at how well it did tune, but it has a very small speaker on it. I think this is like a 2-inch speaker at best. It's kind of tinny, to say the least, so the sound coming out of it isn't that great, but it's better on FM when you get it tuned in and centered on the station. It seems to work. And like other radios that I purchased recently, it has a subwoofer on the back, so you've got the deeper sound coming out of the back, and this must be something coming out of China as part of their designs. You get the subwoofer out the back and the higher tones out of the front speaker. But with that said, as far as design goes, I want to mention something about this radio that I think is important. Whoever designed this radio in the factory, when they sat down to design it, I think that they really had the idea of the DXer or somebody who was interested in shortwave or multiband listening. As it says, it's a 9-band radio. It has the TV band on here, by the way. I don't know if they still transmit TV audio by analog in Asia or in Europe. Maybe they do. They don't here. We're all digitized here. We all have digital converters, or all of the over-the-air TVs are all digital, so you don't hear any sound. And these are marked out by channel 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But you do not hear that. We don't get that in the United States. However, the design, the DX design that they thought about, it kind of is very apparent, because if you look at this, and you can't see it very well in the top, maybe I could turn on and you can get the backlight. No, it's probably too bright. Yeah, it's a little bit too bright in here. It has a backlight, but on the top, you'll see these red boxes here on top across the bands, and they actually put the actual bands in here. They have 49 meters, 41 meters, 31 meters, 25 meters, 21 meters, 19 meters, and 16 meters. And they also label them as shortwave 1 through shortwave 7. And that's controlled by one of these slider switches on here. These are not my favorite switches. I find these a little hard to manipulate, and I have to take a good hard look at it to see where it's at. So I get a little bit confused with these. And it never fails with these slider switches. Also, they're kind of loose, so they're never exactly where they're supposed to be. But once you get that figured out, it's not a deal breaker by any stretch of the imagination. And right here on the front, look what they also put in here. There is a DX and a local switch, and it says right in the instructions, which I want to mention the instructions here real quick. There's a very detailed set of instructions that come with this, and they're not half bad. Don't know if you can see that very well. They're not half bad, but also they go into talking about how to tune the radio, and they give you all the bands, shortwave 1 through 7, and AM and FM, and TV, so you know exactly what the frequencies on those bands are. So that's pretty good. And it happens to mention that when you do receive international broadcast and distance stations, please move the DX and local switch to the right order so you can hear it. So this is actually not a bad set of instructions. And so the designers were really thinking about this being a DX radio. Not to mention here on the back, it says right on the back. So it has your frequency ranges, FM, a medium wave, short wave through 7, 9 bands, and it tells you what those bands are in each area. So whoever designed this is really thinking about this radio being a DX radio or DXer's radio. I will say the construction is okay. I'll just put it in the okay range. You probably don't want to put this in the back of a backpack on the bottom. It probably will get damaged if you put it down there. It's not really that sturdy per se. I have a box here that I put together for all of my my DX stuff. So this is sorry about that. And this is a Pelican box that I put things in, and I would put this in my Pelican box, as you can see, to protect it. But I do that with my smaller radios to begin with, so they won't get smashed in the process. This is a pocket radio. It can be taken along very easily. Now, there's some other things. This has a backlit, and you can't see it very well. There you go. You see the lights on the inside. The dial on this is backlit, and that's a big plus for me. That's a really big plus because, if you're in a tent at nighttime or there's no lights or there's, emergency, the lights are out, you'll be able to see what's going on, and it'll give you a little bit of extra light to find your favorite radio station. And here's my favorite kicker, and I've complained about this many times before with other radios. It has a headphone jack. Yay! It's got a headphone jack. Because I like to listen through headphones, to keep things quiet in the house, and I'm not bothering everybody and the dog and the wife and the cat and all those people and animals. So, and if you're camping or you're in a vehicle, this would be a good radio to bring along. The tuning and the reception is not bad. If you looked at all the videos that I posted before my review here, I used both just the whip antenna, and I hooked it up to my long wire antenna in my listening post, and I have a tuner, a breadbox tuner that I use, and I'm able to tune out or tune the signal in better and tune out some of the noise. And I just want to say that this radio responded very well to my long wire. It doesn't mean I pulled in a lot of stations. Propagation has been so-so, but I'm hearing all the strong stations pretty well and even stronger with the long wire. So that's very, very positive. The other thing is, this is a manual tune. So, meaning manual tune, it's analog. So it's not a digital LCD readout like you have on some radios. I prefer the regular analog tuner so I can tune into the station and I can fine tune it and find out exactly where it's at on a dial and get the station coming in. Some of the newer digital stuff that's locked in where you'll just see the frequency. It doesn't give you the opportunity to do that. A lot of those radios, I guess, are DSP radios, and they try to lock in the station for you. I prefer to do it myself. I'm old school, so that's where I'm at. So that's kind of it in a nutshell with this radio. And by the way, these are how you control the radio. You have It has push buttons, which these are rather nice actually. I like the push buttons, so you know exactly where you're at. It makes it very easy. You're not flipping another switch and they're right on the front. So that's a big plus for me. So between these buttons, the backlight, the DX switch, and of course the headphone jack, because I just got to have a headphone jack for my radio. That's really important to me. I got to give this radio 4 stars, and it's 4 stars for an $11 or $10 or $11 radio. And this is the kind of radio that I talk about that you should have on hand for emergencies. That's why I'm giving it 4 stars. If it was bigger and it had a bigger speaker, maybe like a 3.5, 4-inch speaker, but now we're getting into a much bigger radio, and it had a better sound to it, I'd probably give it 5 stars. I think that'd be great. But there's things about it that I like. And again, it has a downside. The downside is, well, it's light construction. It's more a consumer product. It's not, something that you'd see in some professional radio guy's shack. It's something to take along in an emergency. And the battery compartment, it was kind of not good because I had to put a piece of tape on her. But like I said, that's not a deal breaker for me because it's a cheap radio. I wasn't expecting the best of the best here. I was expecting a radio that could be usable like in an emergency or to put in a backpack or have an extra radio on hand. And actually, I believe there's also a jack here for power. So if you had a power supply, you could also use an external power supply, or you could use the battery. So it's pretty versatile. So whoever designed the KK9, I think they did a good job when they put it on the board to see how the radio was going to perform or what they wanted it to be. So like I said, I give this radio 4 stars. So thumbs up on that. Okay, well, thanks for listening. Have a good night.